trip. My boat is full of water. Peaceful noise of the river next to me. The occasional car driving by on Route 4. Heading up the road to go get a look at the Sandy River and a few spots. Just want to get a good idea of how it's flowing further up north right now, and maybe see if I can just take a peek at a couple sections and, I don't know, just get a idea of what we're in for. I'm expecting there to be a lot of down trees and debris and rocks and stuff on that upper section, and which is probably why we'll end up walking from the headwater down to below Smalls Falls, and we'll put our paddleboard and I got an inflatable kayak we'll probably put in below the falls. So I'm just below the Appalachian Trail, you know, probably a half a mile or 3/4 of a mile down the road, and this is what the Sandy River looks like pretty early on. Love you guys. Gotta get the tailgate. I love you. I'll see you later. Okay. Wayne, we'll see you later, Wayne. Good boy. All right, here we are. Sandy chain of ponds. I just got dropped off. Yeah, so I'm about, you know, 40-ish miles, I think, from my house on the Sandy River, and I'm up here at the headwaters and gonna navigate the whole thing. And so I know a lot of this first part is just gonna be a lot of walking and dragging, because it's more like a little stream with lots of rocks. So that's gonna be interesting, but the further down I get, the more fun it's gonna be. So anyways, I got my Packraft here, got the Kokopelli XBD. Got a lot of my stuff stowed inside the boat. On the actual inside, there's storage, and then some right here. All right, this is it. And so this is the scene. 100% walking and dragging. Just saw some fish jumping over here. That's pretty cool. Wish I had a fishing pole. I'm in the Appalachian Trail corridor now. That's good. This was about as far as I was hoping I would get today before being able to set up camp. Because I got dropped off at like 7 and it's about 7:45, so that's good. That's good. Things are going about as I expected them to so far. Okay, I'm just getting stopped for the night, and this is what the river looks like right now. Still walking it, dragging. Probably will be for a couple more miles, but found a place to camp. That's kind of flat, right next to Route 4 pretty much. So now I'm just gonna find a couple good trees to hang the hammock up and get some sleep and do it again tomorrow. It was really hard because the sun was setting behind me, and so it cast a shadow in front of me, and it was already dark enough on the bottom of the river I couldn't see my footing, so I was stepping and slipping on a lot of rocks and, you know, almost rolling my ankle a bunch, and so I had to be really slow and really careful. So progress has been pretty slow, which is what I planned on, but I got about as far as I wanted to. So yeah, right close to the Appalachian Trail, where it crosses Route 4. All right, so I got my haven tent set up here. Can't see very well, but getting settled in for the night. Peaceful noise of the river next to me. The occasional car driving by on Route 4. Doesn't get much better. Good morning. It was chilly last night. I guess you could say I kept warm. Could have been a little bit warmer, but I was okay. All right, so this is not how I wanted to start my trip, but it has dawned on me that a very important bag containing my Garmin InReach Mini and my battery bank and my GoPro charger and extra batteries is not with me. And I managed to send a text to Josie via satellite, and it's not in the truck. So that means it's got to be somewhere along the stream, hopefully. Hopefully it's sealed enough and there's enough air in the bag and it's actually floating somewhere. So unfortunately now I need to go retrace my steps, but I am going to leave my gear down here and just take water with me and a snack or whatever. And this sucks. This sucks. Here I am, back at the boat launch, and look what was on the ground. Is the only logical explanation for this. I thought I was gonna walk all the way back up here and find nothing. I am so happy right now, I can't even describe. This is like, this is probably like at least $700 worth of gear in this one little dry bag. So, and stuff that I depend on to communicate and document my trip. So this day just got a lot better. Now I'm gonna walk back to my campsite and pack up and get on downstream. Well, it wouldn't be a true adventure without some sort of mishap, right? Whew. So I'm so happy right now. I would have been so bummed out if I had lost that stuff. it was somewhere in the bottom of the stream or something stupid like that, but nope. It's just on the ground, right where I left it. I just got some water on the stove for some coffee and some breakfast finally, after my excursion this morning to retrieve my lost items. So feels good to be back on track and have everything that I set out with. Originally, this wasn't the plan at all. A few days before launch, I went up and scouted river conditions by myself. The original plan was for my friend Adam and me to start at the headwaters of the Sandy River and follow it downstream together. But we weren't planning to paddle that upper section. We knew there wasn't enough water. The plan was to hike along the river from the headwaters down to Smalls Falls, carrying only food, water, and a few essentials. We had talked about stashing our camping gear in Packrafts, or stand-up paddleboard in his case, somewhere around Smalls Falls ahead of time. Once we reached enough water to float, we'd load up the boats and continue downstream. From there, the goal was to paddle all the way to the Kennebec River, a trip of roughly 73 miles. Then, just a few days before launch, Adam was involved in a car accident. Thankfully, he wasn't seriously injured, but he was banged up enough that he couldn't make the trip. That left me with a decision to make. I could cancel the trip, postpone it, or come up with something different. The more I thought about it, the more I became interested in a different challenge. Instead of hiking that upper section and stashing gear near Smalls Falls, what if I carried everything from the very beginning and attempted to follow the river all the way back to my house completely solo? I knew exactly what I was signing up for. I had already scouted the area and knew there would be miles of dragging, scrambling over rocks, and fighting low water conditions. In many places, there wouldn't be enough water to paddle at all. But that was the whole point. I wasn't looking for the easiest way to get downstream. I wanted the challenge. I wanted the experience of starting at the true headwaters and following the Sandy River all the way home under my own power. So I loaded up all my gear into the raft, got dropped off at Sandy River chain of ponds, and started downstream. And almost immediately, the adventure took an unexpected turn. settled in, and I'm a few miles below Smalls Falls. Called it quits at about 6 p.m. I was just exhausted, and actually no, it was like 6:45 when I stopped actually. So yeah, pretty long push today. A lot of dragging, mostly dragging, but the river is starting to get bigger and bigger, and getting to do a little bit more paddling. I'm hoping that's mostly what I do tomorrow, is paddle instead of dragging. Okay, all cleaned up and dispersed the rocks for the fire ring, covered that up with some gravel. I can hardly tell I was here. Now, I was just having some trouble zipping up this T-zip zipper, and because I store some of my stuff inside the boat. And yeah, the zipper was coming undone behind me when I was zipping it up, and so I brought some of the stuff that came with it, the T-zip. It's like a gel that goes on the zipper and helps lubricate everything, and then that helped it zip right up quick. So if you use these things and you got this T-zip system, highly recommend having some of that on standby. I don't know how to pronounce what that is, but it's like, seems like some sort of silicone type of lubricant. Well, that didn't work out. bald eagle. Now we're covering some ground. Or covering some water, I guess. Guess we're not covering the ground. Mount Abram. At this point, I had been paddling hard all day and was making good progress downstream. I stopped for a moment to check my maps and see how far I had left to go. I reached into my dry bag for my phone and immediately realized it wasn't there. That got my attention. I started digging through my gear, checking every pocket and compartment, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Then I looked down into the bottom of the raft. Somehow, my phone had fallen out of my pocket and landed in a pool of water inside the boat. It was still on when I found it, but it had been sitting in the water for who knows how long. And not long after I pulled it out, the battery died completely. And just like that, things got a little more interesting. Without my phone, I couldn't check my maps, I couldn't easily send messages through my inReach. Most importantly, I couldn't call anyone if I decided I wanted a ride home. Not that getting picked up would have been easy anyway. At that point, I was already committed. The only realistic option was to keep paddling. Home was downstream, and the only way I was getting there was under my own power. So I put the phone away, picked up the paddle, and kept moving. Oh yeah!
Sometimes things happen beyond your control, as if they have a life of their own. Choices you make, what appears to be right, seems you just have no say. As if you're a witness to your own mistakes, it's easy to play along. After you see what the choices came to be, like a storm that's passed on. Oh, the brain down the drain, oh, the fuse, the abuse. Oh, please, storm-felled trees, oh, the fight over who's right. Trying to remember all the shit that went down. I don't know what your intention was. Like trying to memorize the Bible backwards to the start and reciting it from my heart upside down. Oh, please, on your knees.
Oh, I made it. Made it home. Oh my gosh. I can barely stand up. Oh my gosh, my whole body hurts. My arms are dead. Oh, holy smokes. That was a long trip. That was a long paddle today. Yeah. Okay. Whew. I can't believe I did it. I've never pushed myself so hard, I don't think. At least I can't remember the last time that I did push myself so hard. Just really wanted to sleep in a warm bed tonight. Home sweet home. Whew. Can't believe I did it. Whew.